Thank you.
Hi. There's been too many times that I've been stuck on mute, so I figured I'd take myself off a little bit earlier. um, Hello, I'm Arielle Starace, and I'm so thrilled to have this opportunity to speak with you all about advocacy and empowering the people that we advocate for. I'm currently a resident services manager, and I oversee the case management teams at 3 permanent supportive housing sites in San Francisco. I work with adults, families, youth, and seniors. Most of them are overcoming some sort of trauma. Some of them have a criminal justice history, and some struggles with substance use and mental health. I'm originally from New York. I was previously the director of programs at a case management agency that served developmentally disabled and medically fragile children. I made the move to California about 2 years ago, and I began working with people who were formerly experiencing homelessness. It's been a really big change, not only professionally, but also personally. Obviously, the population that I'm working with has changed tremendously, and I still walk too quickly and too close to other people on the sidewalk, and I definitely still talk too fast. Hopefully, you guys aren't picking up on that too much. Uh, the definition of an advocate is a person who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or policy. I happen to think that it's a lot more than that. An advocate empowers the people that they serve and lifts them up so that they can use their own voices to champion their causes. The focus of my advocacy shifted when I moved to California. I was used to working with children and adults, and oftentimes they weren't able to use their own voices. I feel like I was really an advocate in sort of a more traditional sense. It's been a really eye-opening and rewarding experience to be able to lift people so that they can use their own voices to advocate for themselves. In my opinion, there's really nothing more than hearing from the actual people that are going to benefit from a change, and hear exactly what they want. The changing populations that I worked with really solidified my ability to empower others. In New York, I could write the most powerful justification letter on why, an increase in service hours was really going to improve the quality of a child's life. But oftentimes, I didn't have the ability to do anything that was coming directly from the mind or the mouth of someone that I was working with. In California, I can speak directly with my residents, and believe me, they let me know exactly what they like and don't like. I've been able to bring some of their feedback to leaders in our agency that normally they don't have access to. My advocacy, again, has started to shift given the state of the world. I've been deemed an essential worker since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, but my face-to-face time with residents is really minuscule compared to the people that I feel honored to work with. During this time, we also begun, if we hadn't already been, looking at the ways people of color are treated in our country and what we can do to make real change and hold people and systems accountable. My shift this time was advocating for the people that I work with rather than the people that I serve. As our social climate and professional lives began to change, I found myself with a seat at a table where I wasn't the expert, but I was being asked my opinion. The people who weren't sitting at the table, who were the experts, were my team, and I knew that their voice needed to be louder than mine. One of my core values in life is to ensure that everyone gets a seat at the table, and that's probably why I was interested in social services in the first place. As I watched all of us shift into this new normal and new policies come out, I realized that the people that I were working with needed a say in the changes. I, of course, understand when a decision needs to be made right on the spot, and that sometimes the real answer really is because I said so. Because there's obviously a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that not everyone is aware of. And quite frankly, the average person working in human services doesn't really care about them. Contractual requirements, funder agreements, finances, those are not at the top of my list when I'm trying to advocate for someone. So with all these changes that were set in motion in my day-to-day professional life, I knew I needed to do more than voice my opinion. I needed to check in with my team and make sure that I was advocating for more than what, not just what I thought they wanted. I think a common mistake that advocates make is thinking that you know what a person or a group of people want. An easy way to avoid making this mistake is to ask them. That's one of the fastest ways to empower someone and by doing that, you show them that you truly care what they think. During the beginning months of the COVID-19 pandemic, I asked every member of my team, what can this agency do to better support you? How can I help you feel safe? Each team member shared some ideas with me. Some were big, some were small, but the immediate change that I saw in my team was that they now were comfortable with, answering these questions for me, even when I wasn't asking. I was able to take their ideas and share them with leadership at our agency. And while not everything happened, I think we all would have liked to maybe have a 7-day weekend. I do see a definite flexibility in the way that we make decisions at an agency that I feel like was pretty rigid. And that is really the feeling that I live for when you're advocating. It's so important that the people who are affected by policy and procedural changes are part of these conversations. And successfully advocating for people includes ensuring they are empowered enough to speak their piece. Bring people's ideas to the table when they are not invited to that conversation. Encourage people to use their voices and back them with your support fully when they are courageous enough to speak out. Acknowledge that you may be a person of privilege because of your skin color, your gender, your sexual preference, your abilities, or just because you're in a management position, and that regardless of how empowered the people you're advocating for, they may not feel safe enough to speak their truth. So if I can implore you to do anything, it's to talk to the people that you're advocating for and get their opinions. They are the real advocates. Empower people to feel strong and courageous when speaking truth to power and have their backs when they don't feel safe enough to do it themselves.